But we have Director of Center for Human Rights and Advocacy Network, Mr. Otuekong Franklin, joining us this morning. Quite a number of conversations to push with him. We're gradually delving into the Yuletide season, but there are steep concerns about the high cost of living. Also, we're taking the reaction to the no vacancy issue at the presidency also with our guest this morning. Good morning, Mr. Franklin. Good to have you on Rise and Shine this morning.
The voice.
Okay, then I'm sure we're going to be able to have that conversation this morning. We're still looking at quite a number of issues, but I'd like to just wrap up because we had started that conversation with our last guest, talking about the fact that the presidency, the SGF, said, there's no vacancy at the, Aso Rock Villa for anyone else. We should all give President Bola Ahmed Tinubu time to finish his tenure. But there is a key statement here that we shouldn't fight, and I'm going to quote him. He says, President Tinubu as a Southerner should be allowed to have a second term, meaning those eyeing the presidency from the north in 2027 should look beyond that year by waiting till 2031. Now, the clause there is that, Mr. President is representing the South. If he loses in the 2027 election and he goes back to the North, it topples the balance of that zoning. Good morning, Mr. Otuekong Franklin. Good to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning, Uyai, and good morning, Francis.
Good
All right,
morning,
then.
Director. Welcome.
How is the city of Uyo
Yeah.
today? Is it cold?
Well, Uyo is cold, and the atmosphere is bubbling, especially at the area we have the Christmas village, that is Udoma Avenue,
Uh-huh.
is bubbling, and that simply gives a sign that we are in festive period.
Okay, then.
If you drive through Udoma, you will see the activities going on, and cultural display has been on from, I think, from the first day of the Christmas village till today. I think each of the local government has a turn to showcase their cultural activities and artifacts. So Uyo has been bubbling, and we hope that at the end of the day, we will be able to further unite the people of the state and then be able to showcase our Ibom to the world.
Great conversation. We're definitely going to go back there, especially with certain details. But let's wrap up on this conversation we had started a moment earlier. Conversations about the presidency saying that there is no vacancy at the Aso Rock until 2031. But the clause I want us to attend to, and let's argue around here, is the fact that the SGF is saying Mr. President is a Southerner. If a Northerner wins the 2027 election, it topples the balance of the zoning that brought the elections to, the South. What does this mean for you? The likes of Atiku and the rest are lampooning the presidency for saying there's no vacancy.
Well, yeah, I find it very difficult to be dragged into this conversation with two reasons. The first reason is that the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was elected for 4 years. His tenure of engagement with Nigerians, his oath of office, terminate automatically on May 29,
2027.
2031. Yeah, 2027, right? Yeah, 2027. Sorry, May 29, 2027. So that automatically shows that there is vacancy. The second leg of my not being wanting to be dragged into it is because Nigerians should be able to elect their leaders based on performance, based on antecedents, based on the merit of the individual, based on capacity to deliver good governance, based on the ability to be able to serve the people of the state. You're not serving yourself, you're not serving a cabal, you're not serving the presidency. The person who is raising this conversation now is the secretary to the federal government, who is a beneficiary of the government. He should allow Nigerians who employed Mr. President to tell him that we don't want any vacancy to exist, continue. It is Nigerians that will tell Mr. President that your tenure has expired, that we want or we don't want you. at the end of his tenure in May 29, 2027. Just a few days ago, Ghana had 8 elections. You could see what happened. It was each free election, but for a selected crisis that we had in a few areas, we had about 3 persons lost their lives. The person who won the office of the president had lost in the previous contest when he was the president of Ghana, John Mahama. He lost in the last contest. He was the city president. He lost the seat and conceded. And he came out again and still recontest, and he had won. It shows you that there is always vacancy in any elective office. It is the people of the country that can validate your position. That is why we have a routine election. We have a routine election that will now serve as a check to those who have been elected to now know if they have performed or if they have not. So the basis of anyone raising this conversation today is completely is unfounded and unsubstantiated when you compare it with what we are, what we are facing in the country. And then you bring in another issue of North and South, trying to ethnicize, trying to tribalize, trying to play religion with governance. This is completely unheard of. I don't like to discuss governance mixed with religion, mixed with tribe, mixed with section of the country. That is why I have always been against the word zoning. And I maintain my stand. I said the best person should get the job. Whether you are from North, you are from South, you are from the East, from the West, from any part of the country, the best person for me should get the job. Because when anybody emerges the president of the country, his governance policies affect everyone across the country. Today, you can even see those who are even coming stoutly against Mr. President is the West, where he is the Southwest. They're the ones who are even coming to protest. Every protest today in this country against President Tinubu comes from Lagos State, comes from Osun, comes from Ogun, comes from Ondo. It's because he's not doing well. If he is doing well, nobody will protest against him. That is why Lagos has become the center of protest against President Tinubu. The North have the right to bring someone who is competent. The South has the right to get someone who is competent. The key word for me is competency, merit, capacity, and ability to deliver good governance. The issue of North and South is completely immaterial, is unfounded and political.
Unfounded and political. I like your explanations this morning, and if a lot more Nigerians will lean to that, it will be very, very effective. Let's lean to performance and not start playing to the gallery of sentimentalism with regards to, and I think case in point, Mr. Otuekong has need something very, very important, which is his contract agreement with Nigerians is for 4 years, subject to re-election if he wins or not. But we do not have any, agreement to extend him to 2031. And I think that really takes the conversation and gives it a really good place to lay to rest. Francis, I don't know if you have any other...
Well, Director, I know that in our analysis and criticism, we have to be fair and balanced. But let's go to the politicking in Nigeria. Former President Muhammadu Buhari was of the northern part of the country. He did 8 years. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is of the south. His first tenure is 4 years. Yes, we know. And unless Nigerians give him the second mandate, he might just do 4 years. If Nigerians decide to give him the second mandate, then he can do 8 years. But then, in the details that you have put forward, the argument that you have put forward, competency is the key word, performance is the watchword. Somebody who is able to deliver on the mandate and the challenges, proper solution to the challenges facing Nigeria is the watchword. Now, if you're saying we should do politics without the sentiment of region, let's assume, for whatever reason, come 2027, Nigerians decide to vote somebody being put up by the North. Don't you think that is going to destabilize the structure in Nigeria Because even before now, when Jonathan was in power, the argument that was put forward after he took over from the later president Umar Musa Yaradua, who passed on for him to take on that seat for 1 year before his now tenure, the conversation was the North had not finished their time, and so there was a need for a Northerner to come on board. This conversation has been pushed throughout the existence of Nigeria as a country. What do you think would happen in the political space if for any reason the South cannot have someone else? If Nigerians choose to vote out President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the South cannot have somebody else, but just leave it into the hands of the Northerner. Hello, Director, are you there? Okay, I think
I've lost him for a moment.
Lost him for a moment.
Of course,
there.
we're definitely going to go back there, and you would have to reiterate your question by the time he gets back on the line. Okay.
Okay, Director, did you hear the question?
Hello? Yes, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Did you get the question?
Yes. Got your question loud and clear also. Now, hello, can I go on?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Now, let me play the devil's advocate. Since you have brought up this issue of Yaradua and Jonathan, let us play it this way. Let's look at it. Let's now be analytical. In May 29, we had somebody from the Southwest, Olusegun Obasanjo. He did 8 years. And then, after him, we had Yaradua, who barely complete his term. And then somebody from the South took over. That is Jonathan, and completed his term and went for a second and went for a full term. And after him, after Yaradua, we had Buhari. He came and did 8 years. And now we are having Tinubu, who is completing his 4 years. If you add the tenure, the 8-year tenure of President Olusegun Obasanjo, you add the 5 year of President Jonathan, that will be giving you 8 plus 5. That will be giving you 12. Now, if Tinubu completes 4 years, you add that 4 years to the 12 years already done by the other person from the South, that will be giving you 16 years. If Tinubu is able to go for, assuming, I'm not considering that he is able to repeat after 2027 to do another 4 years, you see that the South, by this calculation now, would have gone more tame than the North. Because in the North, we have had Yaradua, who barely completed his tenure, and then we had Buhari. So if you add the tenure of Buhari and Yaradua, Buhari did 8 years, Yaradua did 3 years. If you add that to, you'll be having 11 years. So would you say you are fair to the North, assuming we are to play the devil's advocate? But because I have said here that we shouldn't play this advocacy, we shouldn't go this route. Because if you go this route, you will be raising unnecessary dust that will consume this country. Because if you look at this argument, the Southeast has never smelled power since 1999 till date. The highest office somebody from the Southeast has occupied in this country from 1999 till date has been Secretary of the Federal Government or Senate President. That's all. So this argument that we are trying to champion or trying to analyze will raise unnecessary tension, will create enmity, and further polarize the politics. That is why I said I don't believe in zoning. I don't believe in this argument of North and South. I believe in competence. I believe in merit. I believe in capacity. Assuming President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing well, the cost of living is low, people are feeling fine, the country is well secured, our policy is smooth. You check the issue of corruption is handled from the top, from the high level of government to the lowest level of government. I bet you nobody will come up to challenge him in 2027. It's because he has created loopholes and opportunity for other people to use, those who want the office to use. They are coming out to challenge him. And I bet you, in 2027, you will have more aspirants than you had in 2019. Because President Bola Tinubu has given opportunity for everyone to become economists, for everyone to become an engineer, how to begin to engineer how to govern a country, for everyone to become security experts, for everyone to become good monetary policy experts, because of the failure created by the government. So in 2027, you will have more aspirants for the office of presidency than you had in 2019, because the president has failed to address key issues that sustain the policy, sustains the economy, sustains the livelihood of the common man on the street. Today, the government policy is we against them. The policy is doing is we against them. You make a phone call now, you are charged. You make a transaction you transfer money from your bank account to another bank, you are charged for it. Every action you take, you are being taxed. Everything you do, you are being taxed. And yet, governance is not giving you the best of it that you deserve as a Nigerian. The cost of living is calculated naira to dollar is over naira is about 180, 1,800 or more to a dollar. Insecurity is high in the north, high in the south, high in the west, high in everywhere. The road network are bad. You can't even travel from your state to another state. The only safe way to travel now is through the air. That is why they are using private jets. That is why they're using that is why you see them using that jet issue, because the roads are completely, poor, bad road network.
Director Franklin, you're talking about the fact that, high cost of living. I know that that's a conversation we want to talk about this morning. But then you're talking about that the best alternative for us to even travel now is by air. This morning alone, the rates to travel within Nigeria is at 280,000 naira. That maxes out an average Nigerian. Someone who's earning minimum wage, even if you earn 200,000 because of your grade level, and maybe you do business, flying in Nigeria is already difficult for an average Nigerian. So I don't think that even air transport cuts as as a reasonable alternative this morning. But before you respond to that, you're talking about the 2027 election. Are you of the side that think that a merger would do our political parties and opposition better good ahead of 2027? Because you just talked about the fact that we may be seeing more faces on different ballots.
Well, I'm happy that after the 2019 elections, the opposition parties have not gone to bed with the government. They have not, returned to the trenches. They have been on top of their game, coming out with criticisms, coming out with, positions that are shaping and reshaping and put the government to check. Even though the government has gone haywire, refusing to listen to voices of opposition. But you have the major opposition party like the Labour Party, like the PDP, are always, on top there, speaking out, airing their opinion. And then you have critical CSOs like ours and the rest, checkmating the policies of government, calling out the authorities when they are not doing what is right. So I can tell you that I am happy that the government will be meeting a stiffer opposition in 2027, because Nigerians have become more wiser and the youth have come out to take their destiny in their hands. They have, they came out during the last contest. You could see what happened. I knew of some youth who voted for the first time in their life. I knew of some youth who clocked 18 years after the last contest, last election, and they were happy to go and cast their vote, even though the outcome of the contest of the election did not please the youth. But the youth have always remained in the trenches, in the forefront. You recall the last protest of End Bad Governance. It was about the youth coming out. And with this kind of mindset, engagement, activities going on, the contest in 2027 will be different from what you had in 2019. So my advice to the president, he still has more time. He has 2 years to be able to change, his policies that are unfriendly, to be able to get things right. Nigerians don't hate him, but they take hold with his policies. The government has created opportunity for Nigerians to begin to criticize the government. When the government is not doing well, everybody will shout. When the government is doing well, everybody will praise the government. Nobody is we are not in political party. I belong to no party. I belong to the Nigerian state. My party is the Nigerian party, Nigeria, where everybody will be able to have good food, good sense of belonging, security, and what have you. That is the country that I belong, the party that I belong, and the country that I belong. So the president still has 2 years and more to fix things right, to make a reversal of harmful policies like fuel subsidy removal that has cost this country so much. Now we are now living to buy fuel to fuel our cars. Yesterday I bought fuel 1,150 naira a liter. Here in Uyo, and NNPC that is selling, they are selling 1,080 naira. You buy fuel, their fuel is contaminated. You buy fuel from there, it's gas you are buying.
At the NNPC depot.
I have NNPC stations, NNPC petrol stations in Akwa Ibom State. If you buy petrol there, you are buying gas. Because the air you buy, the fuel you buy, if you buy fuel of 5 liters, it is 2 liters that you bought. You drive from there, from the fuel station to a kilometer, the gauge of your car would drop to 0.
Those are strong allegations, Director, and you are a CSO leader in Akwa Ibom State.
I'm telling you that I have taken this. Can you listen to me, Uyai? What I am saying to you, I have said this on radio. I have taken this up with authorities concerned. The state government has monitoring petroleum task force committee. I have taken this up with the authorities concerned, and they have also said that they have also engaged the stations concerned. So what are we saying? We are saying that the government policy is harmful. The government policy has impoverished Nigerians and has made Nigerians to be feeding from refuse dumps to become scavengers. The only way to live today is to be in government. If you are outside government, then you are going to live from the garbage. And you see people committing suicide every now and then. You see people dying every now and then for sickness. Cost of drugs is high. If you have malaria, how much is drugs? To buy a tablet, how much is it? To buy, paracetamol, go and check how much is it. Not talking of buying typhoid drugs or malaria drugs. So you can see that people are dying on a daily basis because of the harmful policy of the government. And then you come and look at the monetary policy that has made Naira to be floating, and Naira is now on a free fall. When this government came on board, Naira was about 550 to a dollar. Today Naira is how much? Naira is getting to up to 200, up to 2,000 to a dollar. When this government of Buhari came on board, petrol was 450 a liter. How much petrol today? Petrol is about 1,200 a liter, and yet you are buying petrol that is being adulterated, that the meter has been adjusted. So what are we saying? Nigerians are suffering, Nigerians are impoverished, Nigerians are dying, and somebody is talking about politics of continuity. Nigerians are not, nobody will hear you. You can't say, you cannot tell an hungry man to go and vote for more starvation. Today Nigerians are missing. We are missing President Buhari. Buhari did better than even Tinubu.
Director, let's go to the Nigerian conversation. Let's go to the Nigerian conversation. Right now, you've alluded to the fact that Nigerians are suffering. Yes, everybody agrees to that fact. But the big question I'd like to put to you this morning is, During the era of the outgone administration, President then Muhammadu Buhari, Nigerians were suffering. But that didn't stop Nigerians from voting in President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, Nigerians are suffering even more, according to some persons. Do you think Nigerians, with all of the suffering, will be able to act like the Ghanaians when we head to the polls in 2027? Because it's not about suffering. It's about suffering and being able to take a decisive decision to put an end to it. When monies are offered at the polling units by politicians, can Nigerians turn a blind eye to 1 minute of pleasure, to 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 naira to offer their conscience up and vote for somebody they know, regardless, can put the nation back on track?
Okay, since you have, brought up this conversation, let me start like this. If you bring former President Muhammadu Buhari in the ballot and you put President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the ballot, I will vote for Buhari. In my assessment, Buhari performed better than Tinubu, and I am missing Buhari. When Buhari was president of Nigeria, I told you that fuel was about 450 a liter. And Nigerians were shouting. We were shouting that it was high. Today, how much is petrol a liter? Petrol goes for 1,200 times 3 of what you had in the Buhari's government. Naira was about between 750, 850, 750, 850, between 550, 750, 850 to $1. Today, Naira is how much in dollar? Close to 2,000 to $1 times 2 of what you had in the Buhari's government. The cost of rice as at December, two Decembers ago, when Buhari was in power, rice goes for between 45,000 to 50 a bag. Today, rice a bag goes for over 100,000. Gary a cup, how much is it? So you can see that Nigerians have been more impoverished, have been placed under more hardship in the Tinubu's government than in the Buhari's government. So we are missing Buhari. Now back to your question. If Nigerians are truly determined to leave the dungeon of suffering, the time to be able to reward competence, the time to be able to reward capacity, the time to be able to present scorecards and hold government accountable is in 2027. I won't tell you who to vote for, but you should know who to vote for. Now, talking about vote buying, of course, you had vote buying. Even in Ghana, you had vote buying. You had vote buying in this African contest because it is always difficult for an African leader to want to leave office, but he wants to sit tight compared to what you had in the US, where you had Donald Trump coming out to defeat the incumbent president and his team and his party against all odds, because the citizens of America decided to vote for a man that will deliver good governance. So it is for Nigerians to put aside the temporary succor that they will get, that they will give you customized bags of rice, customized indomie, customized items during the festive period, and buy vote and give you 10,000 to buy your vote, and then you are placed for another 4 years of hardship. That is if you even survive this one that we are now. If you survive this, so you can imagine that Nigerians will be placed under a more hardship than we are. So my take will be, like you are saying, Nigerians should become more wiser. I'm happy for the youth of this generation that they have become more wiser, that despite all challenges, the youth will go to the street to protest against bad governance, calling out authorities, calling out the government, even when the government is holding them, giving them up charges of treason, arraignment of infants, of youth, of children, in the name of up charges of terrorism and the rest. You could see that the youth are determined to come out to demand for good governance, and they took their guns for 10 days. They fight all threat and arrest and the rest of it. So what are we saying? Election
right,
of 2027 is about the destiny of the youth and the country, Nigeria.
Well, there's really serious concerns. I wish we had more time, but in just a minute, we're to wrap up in 1 minute. We have a serious concern: high cost of living, transportation. You've already alluded to a lot of the issues, cost of rice and everything. What's the hope for Nigerians to celebrate the Yuletide season? A lot of families are already complaining that it's bleak. A lot of people will not be able to travel to their hometowns, their villages to celebrate because of the high cost of transportation. And even if you get there, how do you feed?
Well, just like last year, you recall that last year we had this conversation, and I told you that the Christmas will be postponed, and it was postponed in some families. They could not have food to eat. They couldn't celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ, which ought to be a party, which ought to be fun, feel of fun, activities and the rest. It was postponed. So the same fate will befall Nigerians, that this Christmas on 25th of December 2025 will be postponed because there is no hope in sight. Nigerians are not, there is no money to feed. There is no money to pay your way back to your home. So you could see that Nigerians are most likely going to postpone the Christmas celebration. That is the only thing that will happen. Nothing else. That other than Nigerians postponing the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ on December 25th because of the hardship that we are facing, because of the lack of empathy by our leaders, by our political leaders, by those who are opportune to be in authorities. And they forget that those whose kindness they are cracked for by the benevolent spirit to be humble. Today they are there and they are forgotten to be humble. President Tinubu was in the trenches with us, and he was speaking very loud against bad governance. Today he is there, and they have forgotten that it is by sheer luck of privilege, sheer luck of destiny that God has made him to become president, and he has shut the gate against the poor and against the masses. Today, those who are living fast, who are speaking, living large, are those who are in his government. Everyone outside the government are, suffering, are facing hardship. My prayer is that he will look back and know that at the end of his government, Nigerians are going to hold him accountable for what he has done. If we fail to hold him accountable, even Almighty God will use his performance that has cost so many lives to judge him and hold him accountable. So he's accountable to man and to God.
Such a pity. Such a pity where Nigerians find themselves. But thank you so much, Director of Center for Human Rights and Accountability Network at Akwa Ibom State, Otuekong Franklin Isong. It's been such a great time having this conversation with you this Tuesday morning. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Have a nice day.
And you too.